Every voice carries a story, every story carries a lesson, and every lesson can become a lifeline. On Voices of Resiliency, we sit down with warriors, healers, leaders, and everyday people who have walked through fire and found a way forward.
Well, now that was a big difference, I think, from our first couple episodes. Boy, the science of resiliency is something that can't be talked about enough. And Dr. Dan is such a well-spoken and positive and encouraging individual. I know I felt really moved by that. And I know my co-host, Michael Pellegrino here, also really felt that same way. Tell me what you were thinking the whole time that Dr. Dan was just laying that out after having our experience.
You know, one of the things that I was thinking of, Kris, the whole time he was talking is simplicity, how it just flew and how it just flew off his tongue and how he made it sound so simple and just being able to put it in a way we all understood it. I think that was important.
I agree. I think he has a really profound and eloquent way of saying complicated things in very simple terms and made it make sense. And it was simple and easy. And instead of, taking medical jargon and doing this and that, where you're just kind of like, what did he say? He really gave it to us in like straight format, even for a couple guys, a vet and a cop that maybe aren't the most intelligent people in the world, but we were able to follow along pretty well. And I had a blast talking to him. I know he lights up the room when he comes in, doesn't he?
He does. He really does. And even though both of us don't have any initials after our name, he put it in a way where we could really understand it and life experience, because truly that's what we're thinking of is how this all translates into our lives and how it translates into helping people become more resilient and helping people become more self-aware of their body and having that science behind it as well. And this is not rocket science. What it is it's based off of all the research that he has done and now bringing it to our listeners. And I think that's most important.
I think too, when we think back to the first episode and we talked about resiliency and what it really means to be resilient. And you said, getting back up one more time, then you go down. That's an easy thing to say until you have physical problems where you can't get up. And now you've got to go find somebody to fix it. But the key to resiliency to me is having other people around you that can help you where you don't understand things. And I think that's something that we've had with each one of our guests so far. And I know for sure this guest is going to tell us a lot about resiliency as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Oh man, Dominick is an amazing human. I will say this over and over again. You're not going to find somebody that comes into a room that just lights up a room like Dominick. And from the first time that I met him, I met him in a conference in Orlando, Florida. And he and I made eye contact. And ever since that day, he and I have become very, very close. And I just can't even say what he means to me personally and professionally. Not only is he on my board of directors from our company, Resilient Minds, but he's on my personal board of directors. And that's going to mean a little something, and probably after this episode as well, too. And having those personal board of directors to go to kind of call you out on some of your nonsense. I know I need some of them people in my life as well.
Well, I know he definitely has inspired me. And I think this episode is appropriately called Faith, Leadership, Service, and Resilience Under Pressure. And I think that's probably as good of a title as we could give this episode of Resiliency, because boy, does that define him. I mean, if you couldn't even define that man he is absolutely amazing. And, he does light up any room he walks into. And let's be honest, he just walked into the White House last week. And so he was lighting up the White House, and it's just every picture, every time you see him, every time you talk to him, it's just the same thing. So I'm excited for people to look at resiliency from that faith and leadership and service, that type of thing. Now that we've looked at it from an emotional with Lori and then a physical with Dr. Dan, this one's going to be really special because I think people are really going to there's no doubt they're going to resonate with Dominick. He's so incredible. So I like you said, I laugh because I see you try to describe him and there's just not words for it. Like there's just not words for it. I don't even know how we can even discuss him without just saying, here you go. Here's Reverend Dominick Stokes. Enjoy. I feel like he could take the whole show away and just carry it on. So yeah,
Yes.
he just had his birthday yesterday, by the way. I know you know that. So we'll go ahead and let everybody else know that he just had a birthday yesterday. And it's going to be exciting for people to hear this because I think people need to understand. Give us a little background on him. So just an overview, because I think it's important that they understand what we're about to walk into. I know that I thought I knew. And then when I met him, I had no idea the magnitude of this man.
I am at a loss for words, and I'm usually not at a loss for words, Kris, when I talk about somebody. But Dominick, he has so many different titles and he does so many different things. It's almost like when I call Dominick and I say, Dominick, he goes, what do you need? And it's like I don't have to worry about anything from there because I know it's going to be done from there. And from his federal law enforcement background to becoming a reverend to some of the conversations he and I have had that have been really personal that he's taken me out of those downward spirals because Dominick just has a way of making it so simplistic. But what he does is he puts the word behind it as well, God's word, and he really makes it real. And that's what really, because again, it's the spoken truth. He quotes everything biblically, biblical, and not only that, but he's just an amazing husband. I just had a chance to go to his retirement party, my wife and I, just to see the people that said so many phenomenal things about him. And the fact that he plays tennis a couple times a week and that he just does it all. I can't even say anymore.
He's a trader and an investor online. The guy has, just impeccable style. And oh, by the way, he's the executive vice president of federal law enforcement. I didn't even know that was the thing. Okay. So when he talks about this and shows up with handcuffs and all the other gear and everything else and puts it out on the table, I was just blown away. And I was like, I'm thinking, Michael could have gave me a heads up on this, but now I realize that you can't tell anybody about Dominick ahead of time. You cannot cover everything about him. There's too many things.
No, really is, and now he's on the board of several nonprofits, near and dear to his heart. So his whole life is a mission, and his mission is to make sure that he serves in the best way that he can, not only his God but his the people around him, and he really makes everybody even better around him as well too. So the fact that I'm so excited for our listeners to hear this one because Dominick, you really can't describe him. I say anything from Cedric the Entertainer all the way to Reverend Dominick to Reverend Law, because I mean, I think he was a federal law enforcement officer for 22 years plus
Yep.
years.
Yeah.
He's got quite some stories, and I'm really looking forward to this one, Kris.
Yeah, this one you touched on it on that first episode too about how God and your relationship there was your biggest pull through for resiliency when you needed to get through those days, really tough times on the police force. And man, this guy's all God. He's definitely all God, and he has the word, in him, and he is very good at weaving it into every conversation to make sure that what he is saying is coming from God. And I think having the faith, first of all, is going to be a big part of resiliency, because if you don't believe in anything, then you really won't have any reason to get back up again.
So true. We talk about this in Resilient Minds, and it's one of our lessons, spirituality. And it's having that purpose, having that meaning, having that center. What is your center in your life? And this is a big reason that people do lose that purpose in their lives because they don't have their center. And their center is their center. It's not for anybody else to say what their center is, but for me, I know what my center is. If everything is locked on my faith in God, and that really is what moves the needle for me.
Yes, indeed. And I think that, he and I have become great friends thanks to you introducing and all that, but we kind of clicked right away. I don't think there's anything else that we can really say. We should just go ahead and let Reverend Dominick Stokes, aka Reverend Law to me, but he's going to tell everything that needs to be told. I have a feeling he'll be back on the show again, don't you?
Man, I could see him co-hosting when somebody's not around. Or but one thing I'll tell you, Kris, and this is the one thing I'll tell you about Dominick, is that he's not at a loss for words.
Never at a loss for words. His and I's conversations go on for hours, days, if not, like it's just amazing. And he always has something really profound and really beautiful to say. So it's like, I don't know, man. Does he ever have a bad day? Is he ever on the other side of that thing? Because I don't know. It just seems like he's nailed it. He's the definition of resiliency.
We all have our bad days, but man, I have never seen him have one. But yeah, we have another facilitator that teaches with us as well too, and we always tease the two of them. We can never put them two together because the class wouldn't end. They would just keep talking and talking and talking, and
that's a seminar. It just keeps going and
He's
going
a whole
and
conference.
going. That's right. That's right. Maybe we'll have a round table with all of us together at the end of the season. That would be amazing if we could get everybody on one podcast together and just have. It would probably be a 10-hour podcast. It would just be who wears out first. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's let the Reverend Law take over. So here's Dominick Stokes. You guys are going to enjoy this one. Trust me.
Right.
Every voice carries a story. Every story carries a lesson, and every lesson can become a lifeline. On Voices of Resiliency, we sit down with warriors, healers, leaders, and everyday people who have walked through fire and found a way.